For decades, India's IT industry has felt, well, unstoppable, right? A true global success story. But now, with generative AI exploding onto the scene, that entire story is facing its biggest plot twist yet. So let's really dig in and break down what this massive AI shift means for what is, let's be honest, a cornerstone of the global tech economy.
Okay, to really get a handle on the stakes here, you have to appreciate the sheer scale we're talking about. India's IT sector hauls in a staggering $250 billion a year. That's $250 billion. It's an absolute economic engine, with over 5 million people on the payroll, and it makes up a huge chunk of the country's GDP. So yeah, this isn't just some industry, it's a foundational pillar. But what happens when the very things that made it so successful start to, well, crack? That's the big question we're tackling today. You see, generative AI isn't just another shiny new tool. Nope. It's a fundamental threat to the very business model that built this entire giant.
All right, let's get into the specifics. How exactly is AI turning up the heat on this industry? Well, it all comes down to a direct hit on its old-school competitive advantages.
And this slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. The old model, right? It was built on three key things: labor arbitrage, meaning cheaper skilled labor, a massive, and I mean massive, pool of engineers, and a rock-solid reputation for getting the job done. But now AI is coming for every single one of those. Automation, that hits the labor model head-on. AI-powered coding tools, they can turn out code faster than a whole team of junior developers. And that old idea of reliable delivery, well, the new definition is all about AI-driven efficiency. And if we break it down by service line, whoa, you can see exactly where the pain is going to be felt the most. Look at this: application maintenance and testing. Together, that's like 40% of the revenue for a typical IT firm. And both are staring down a very high risk of disruption. Even the core work, application development, is at high risk. We're talking about the absolute bread and butter of this industry facing a huge squeeze from automation. But, the big players in this space, they're not just sitting on their hands watching this happen. Oh no, they are fighting back, and they're fighting back hard. They're rolling out these huge company-wide strategies to try and flip this threat into an opportunity. So let's take a look at what the majors are doing. First up, the behemoth, TCS. We're talking over 600,000 employees here. Their whole strategy is a bet on scale. They're basically saying, look, big companies are still going to need a trusted partner to navigate the insane complexity of plugging AI into all their old, messy systems. So their game plan? Reskill hundreds of thousands of their people and bake AI into every single service they offer. Then you've got Infosys, and they've made maybe the boldest, most public move of all with their Topaz platform. This is a big deal because it's not just about them using AI to be more efficient inside their own walls. Nope. They are packaging and selling AI as a product. They've built this whole platform with over 150 ready-to-go use cases, and they're telling clients, hey, let's co-create new AI value together. And the really fascinating part? It looks like it's working. Almost 40% of their new big money deals now have an AI piece to them. And here's the kicker: the proof they're taking directly to their clients. Infosys is already getting a 12 to 15% productivity boost on their own internal projects. So think about that. They're not just walking in and selling some vague idea or a PowerPoint deck. They're selling a concrete result they've already achieved for themselves. Now that is a powerful sales pitch. And listen, it's not just the top two giants. The whole sector is scrambling. You've got Wipro, who's completely tearing down and rebuilding its delivery model to be AI first. HCL is digging into its deep engineering heritage, focusing on that really complex, specialized AI work. And Tech Mahindra? They're trying to reinvent themselves from the ground up to be an AI-native company. The entire industry is on the move. But look, this whole transformation, it's not just about cool tech and corporate buzzwords. At the very heart of it all, it's about people. We're talking about 5.4 million professionals. And this is where this story gets really complicated. And frankly, for a lot of people, deeply personal. To really feel the seismic shift that's happening, just look at the hiring numbers. At its absolute peak, just a couple of years back in fiscal year 2022, the industry added almost 500,000 new jobs in a single year. It was this incredible engine of mass employment for an entire generation of Indian engineers. Okay, now, fast forward to the AI era. The projection for fiscal year 2025? Just 60,000 new jobs. From 450,000 down to 60,000. That's not a slowdown, that's hitting the brakes hard.
And pretty much every analyst agrees that AI-driven efficiency is a huge part of the story. The hiring boom has slammed right into a brick wall.
And this really gets to the heart of the human challenge, right? For decades, the business model was super simple. You bill clients for your employees' time. More people, more hours, more money. But what happens if AI suddenly makes those people way more productive? I'm talking about tools that can write code, reducing the need for so many junior developers. Sooner or later, clients are going to say, hey, if you're so much more efficient, we want a discount. And that creates this transitional arithmetic. It's the central economic puzzle that the entire industry and every person in it has to solve.
Okay, but this whole story isn't just about doom and gloom, defense and survival. The very same force that's causing all this disruption, it's also opening up entirely new worlds of opportunity. And this, for me, is where it gets really exciting. So let's pivot and look at where all the new growth is going to come from.
It's a classic story in tech, isn't it? Every time a big disruption comes along, it creates new opportunities. And while the old ways of making money are getting squeezed, these new revenue streams are popping up, and they could be way, way bigger than what they're replacing.
So, where are these new frontiers? What do they look like? Well, first there's the obvious one, just helping other companies figure out how to actually use AI. Implementation and integration, that's a huge business right there. Second, you've got this fascinating trend called sovereign AI. This is where countries are saying, hey, our data and our AI models have to stay inside our borders. That creates a massive need for custom, localized AI work. Third, there's AI in the real world. Think Industry 4.0, using AI to make factories and supply chains smarter. And finally, let's not forget about India's own domestic market, which is absolutely booming and is a giant untapped opportunity.
And the size of the prize here, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. The global market for AI services is expected to hit $1.3 trillion by 2032. That's trillion with a T. So the opportunity isn't just big. It is absolutely gigantic.
So that brings us to the big picture. What you have here is a legacy industry facing a threat to its very existence. That is also its single biggest opportunity in a generation. It really is a defining moment, a true crossroads.
And I think this quote just nails it. For Indian IT, this AI inflection point, it's not a death sentence. It's an invitation to evolve. I mean, think about it. This industry has weathered huge shifts before, right? The move from mainframes to the cloud, the Y2K bug, it has always adapted. AI is just the next and maybe the biggest invitation to level up.
And that leaves us with the ultimate cliffhanger, doesn't it? The crucial question is this: can an entire industry that was built on the power of its people evolve fast enough for a new world that's being built on the power of AI? They have the talent, they have the relationships, they have the scale, but technology doesn't wait around. The race is officially on, and the answer to that question is going to define the next decade of global tech.